States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next on the agenda is appointing a board member to act as board secretary. Mr. Borman, are you still willing to do that?
Yep.
All right, appoint. board
Motion to have Keith Borman act as board secretary.
Second.
member. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next up.
Did you get that down? Who motioned it and seconded?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll let you get that recorded. All right, next up we have approval of the meeting agenda.
Motion to approve the meeting agenda.
Second.
Ashley and Iker, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That puts us directly to okay. Michael, I'll let you do introductions.
Yep. All right, next up, we do have our audit report with our auditor, Schnurr and Associates. Nick Stanley is the representative that we have joining us virtually here tonight. We'll make sure the audio is up and running and we can hear him and he can hear us. Nick, can you hear us? Nick, can you hear us? Nick? Nick? Nick, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yeah.
Perfect.
All right, Nick, can you hear us now?
Yep, I got you. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay, the floor is all yours.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you all for letting me join here tonight. I'm Nick Stanley. I'm a CPA and partner with TrustPoint, formerly Schnurr and Company. We just rebranded over the summer, so nothing else changed other than our name. So tonight I want to go over with you the audit report that we have for North Polk Community School District as of June 30, 2024. I did send, Hunter, I don't know if you've got that copy I sent you earlier, if you want me to share my screen.
We've got it. We've got it
You got
presented,
it?
so you don't need to share anything.
Perfect. All right. So if you start on page number 1 there, it's the independent auditor's report at the very top of the page. And there's just a few things I always like to cover here on this opinion letter. The first being the opinions, which is that very first paragraph. And this just explains that we have audited the financial statements of the governmental activities, business type activities, each major fund in the aggregate remaining fund information of North Polk Community School District as of June 30, 2024, and the notes to the basic financial statements, which all that together comprise the district's basic financial statements. That second paragraph explains that, in our opinion, those financial statements I just referred to present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental funds, business type activities, each major fund in the aggregate remaining fund information of North Polk Community School District as of June 30, 2024, and the respective changes in financial position. So this is just a nice way of saying this is an unmodified opinion that we've issued on the financial statements. It's the best opinion that we can provide. On that lower third of the page, we have responsibilities of management for the financial statements, and there's a few things on here. There's really 3 things that management's responsible for. The first being the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with the accounting standards generally accepted in the United States. The second is for the design, implementation, and maintenance of internal control. And the third is to evaluate whether there are any conditions or events that would raise substantial doubt about the district's ability to continue for the next 12 months. You'll see as we go through the financial statements, we have no concerns. That next page, the top explains our responsibilities as auditors, and we're to obtain a reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and then issue a report that includes those opinions. Just a little ways down, it's got some bullet points there that gives you kind of a high-level overview of the audit process, if you want to read through those and kind of get an idea on what we're looking at. So, as for the report itself, if you've seen the original copy, you know it is a big report, and there's really only a couple of pages where it actually gives us comparative financial information. So if I can get you in that packet I sent, it's going to be page number 3, but in the report it is all the way back on page number 67. And this schedule is the revenues by source and expenditures by function for all governmental funds. So it's for all the government funds, but it excludes the business type funds, which would be like your school of nutrition. Looking in that 2024 column, total revenues this year was about $35 million. Compared to last year, total revenues actually increased about $2.5 million. All categories of revenue will fluctuate year over year. Really, this is kind of just in 3 areas for this increase. The first being local tax, that very top number, that was up about $1.2 million. This is made up of local property taxes, income surtaxes, things like that. State aid this year was about $19 million. That is also up about 1.8 compared to the year before. And the balance was made up by a small decrease in federal sources. This year was about $452,000. It's down about $400,000. And again, that's just a lot of that federal aid, a lot of the COVID programs ending in the last couple of years. And so as you can see, that's kind of traditionally started to come down quite a bit here since 2020. As far as expenditures, down towards the bottom, total this year for 2024 was $42,948,000. This is also an increase of about $3 million compared to the year before. And very similar to your revenues, expenditures are going to change year over year depending on which function had more activity than others. The areas where this really increases that very top line. Instruction, this year is about $16.9 million, almost $17 million. That was up $1 million compared to the year before. Come down a ways where you see facilities acquisition. This year was $8.9 million. That is up almost $600,000, and that's continued facilities acquisition, continued construction that the district had this year between the central renovation, the CTE addition, high school bleachers, and the baseball, softball fields. And then finally, you'll see a big one right there. Principal payments was about almost $3.2 million. That is also up $900,000 compared to the year before. And the reason for that is the district made its first payment on the 2023 general obligation bond that was issued in the previous year. So all 3 of those combined are really what drove up that expenditure is about $3 million. From an auditing standpoint and an accounting standpoint, it was actually a pretty quiet year on the new codifications front. There are really no new standards that impacted the district this year. It's the first time in several years it's actually happened. So it was kind of just a boring, quiet year on that front. If I can get you to flip to page 5 of that PDF. This is the schedule of findings and question costs for the district. It's report page number 70 if you've got the hard copy in front of you. And part 1 just really provides us a summary again of what we covered. That 1, unmodified opinions were issued on the financial statements. We're happy to report there was no material weakness in internal control over financial reporting that we disclosed. And the audit did not disclose any non-compliance with federal or state or ward requirements. Under part 3, this is any other findings to bring to your attention. There's really just 2. One of them is on that next page, number 6. It's finding 2024-H, certified enrollment. We noted there was a variance in the basic enrollment data that was certified to the Iowa Department of Education. And based off the recommendation and response, we have already taken care of this for you. We actually contacted the Department of Education today by letter. It's just their preferred method of contact to discuss the variance. And so we took care of this issue for the district. The second one is on that last page. I see it should be 2024 end, but it's marked 2023. In the student activity account, there was one activity account that had a deficit balance at the end of the year. And so our recommendation is just to investigate alternatives to eliminate that deficit balance by way of transfer out of another student activity account. I believe, if I remember right, it was girls basketball, and it was a pretty small amount, about $250. I believe that had a deficit balance in that line item. And so with that, if you have any questions on the report itself, if you've had a chance to look at that or anything that I covered tonight, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody has any specific questions, but again, we definitely appreciate the efforts and what went into it, and everybody here that would help support it as well, because this is obviously a very comprehensive document. And seeing the final results of the audit, and I guess what I'll say is the good results of the audit makes us very happy to see again the processes and things that we have in place. And again, Chris, again for your leadership and making sure that everything is flowing the way it should. So congratulations and thank you for all the efforts you put into making sure that our financials are, 1, correct, 2, transparent and open for the entire community, for the state, for anybody that needs to look at them. And again, that's the purpose why we have these audits, so that all of our dollars that we spend towards education, anybody can see where they're going. Anybody can see what and how we are supporting our students with the dollars that our taxpayers give us to do it. So thanks.
Yep, I agree. And I thank you, Chris and staff as well, because I know it's a real quick few days that we're there at the district, and we're asking a lot of questions and asking for a lot of information, and everybody's just great to work with. We really appreciate the partnership we have.
Good job, Chris, and make sure you pass the kudos on to your staff in the business office as well. Thank you.
And likewise, Nick, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.
You too. All right, that takes us to item 7, public comments and communications. Have we received any, Michael?
Consent agenda first.
Oh, sorry.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now public comments, Michael.
Let me find it here. I think we had one. I believe it was from our, here we go.
Yeah, that's not it. All right, here we go. Now we do. We have 2 actually. One was a letter from Prairie Meadows in Polk County, awarding us with $16,423.55, which is combined with Polk County total of $8,211.77 for a donation of $24,635.32 from, again, the combination Prairie Meadows, Grant, and Polk County. So this is something that does come in annually and we have budgeted for. So thank you to them. And then the other communication was from the Iowa High School Speech Association, congratulating our students for their work in speech. And it didn't list all of them on here, but we'll make sure to, I believe they were in the email that went out to the entire district from the activities department today, mentioning them and then the drama students that were recognized as well. So congratulations and thanks to the Iowa High School Speech Association for reaching out.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Item number 8, Administrator, Director, Student Council, Construction, and Superintendent reports. We're going to start with Administrator and Director reports. I think I would like to do this similar to how we did it last month. First of all, anybody that's in attendance, if you want to highlight anything that's on your report first. Anyone like to do that?
I'll add 2. We got our property insurance increase, and it's approximately 10%.
Just for just clarification, 10%, like what's the spend on our property insurance, rough?
It's going to be just shy of $600,000
So annual cost for all of our property, everything is 600,000-ish?
ish.
And we saw a 10% increase this year.
Yeah, it was like 540.
Which is commonplace for, I mean, right now, insurance in the state of Iowa is very difficult, so.
Correct.
We didn't have any property claims though last year, correct?
I mean,
Very little. We had, some bus claims or some transportation claims, but otherwise, oh my goodness, knock on wood. We didn't have any building claims, and our work comp mod, like, we've got very little there as well. We've been having a really, really good year, and
Anyone else like to highlight something?
I just want to thank the board for coming. Kyle, I know you couldn't come there, but when we had our Golden Apple Award for Nikki Callell, just really appreciate the board to take time to come and celebrate a special moment with us. So I appreciate your time.
It was a fantastic reason to be there. That's a great celebration. So good job making it all happen too. I know that's no feat. It's not a small feat to bring all those students into the gym at the same time and actually make it all go. So good work.
Anyone else? Board members, any questions for administrators that are in attendance or directors? Okay, I'm just going to highlight a couple ones. Seth, can you talk about that Strive presentation just a little bit that you had mentioned?
So we had Mike Each here last Monday, was it, or a couple Mondays ago, and that really just talking through that optional planning for students that are serving special education that might need a little extra support as they leave our building. And so I've had some experience with this in the past. Actually, at a different district, had a student that enrolled there, so it was good just to get a little bit of a refresher, and good for our counselors to kind of hear that as well. So just they're looking for some students in that program, and if we have students that it might work for that are currently seniors or even senior year plus, it's just kind of a good refresher for our team. So
Cool, thank you. And I had one more, sorry. I forgot my cheaters today, so I'm struggling. But I'm recalling, Mr. Blackmore, you had a few things that I just wanted to chat about here real quick. First of all, the Model Professional Learning Community School District. Can you speak to that?
Nope. Surprisingly.
Okay.
We
Do that, okay, no.
We are going to announce that on the 28th.
Okay, got it.
Excuse me.
It's in the report.
Yep.
The other one, can you speak a little bit to the National Association of Therapeutic Schools conference that you went to?
Yeah, so I know there was a lot of leaders out in late January, but I got an opportunity to go out to California and learn about therapeutic schools and programming that is happening across the nation. Some of the big takeaways I had is limit technology within the space with students because that activates behaviors. And then nutrition's a big part of it, what they put in their body, the energy that they get from the health and nutrition of the food that they put in their body usually will come out in good ways if it's good food. So there's some big takeaways there, but more importantly, there's a lot of public school districts across America that don't have therapeutic classrooms post-COVID. And so we are always trying to be innovative and trendsetters here in the district. We want to keep our students with behavioral concerns and social emotional learning concerns in-house. And so we are going to do everything that we can to put together a 512 program next year to support our students, keep them on campus, keep our resources right here. So still a lot of learning going on. We'll definitely have more information in the next couple of weeks about what that program looks like, but was able to go out and do some really great national networking and learning on that level.
And
Just
then,
to add to that too, a lot of programs tie in. Wilderness is a big thing. Greenhouses is a big part of therapeutic classrooms. Horse therapy, service animals really help kind of support the anxiety and the behavior behind that too. So you're seeing a lot of these charter schools / therapeutic schools. They're starting to open up. They're more on the West Coast than they are here in the Midwest, but there's a lot of different programming out there.
thank you for that. And could we, I'm actually going to finish up on your last bullet point too. You're leading a book study with our paraprofessionals?
Yeah, so that's been great. We've been doing that across the district this year. Whitney's done a great job at Central leading it. We're doing it at the high school. I have a high school, middle school coalition, if you will. We meet on Mondays, and what happened was a couple years ago we got the Scanlon School of Mental Health grant through the University of Iowa. Go Hawks. And they provided us with about $25,000 for professional learning for paraeducators. And so throughout the school year, we've been providing, they get a full textbook. We go through real life scenarios. We talk about inclusion practices, how to best support students in the classroom. And now West is we were gonna start last Monday, but I think we bumped it up to this upcoming Monday. They'll start the program as well. So lots of great learning there. And it's volunteer for our paras.
Very cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
Is there a reason why there's more therapeutic ones out on the West Coast than there is in the Central? Did they kind of give a reason on that, or?
I don't know if it's because of the location of the conference. That's a great question, because I was thinking the same thing. Right now, we are supported through our local area education agency. So Amanda has a tremendous partnership with Heart Therapeutic Schools, which is out of the Winterset school system. We do have one student in district that's participating in that program. I don't know if it's because of location in the Southern California area, but Utah, Northern California, Southern California, parts of Arizona are very big into this, where they're trying to bring in as much therapeutic support for students so that they feel safe and calm in a space so that they get to the learning. And they're doing it through, like I said, wilderness, horse therapy, growing. They said a lot of science about hands in soil and being outside and getting vitamin D. You can obviously do that a lot more out there than you can here, especially this time of year, but there's a lot of correlation to, it's almost like work-based learning or service learning and how that adds to their learning experience. So,
Thank you very much.
yeah, good question.
Anybody else? Any questions for the group? All right, thank you, everyone. We will move on to construction report.
Good evening, everyone. Just should be pretty quick, but just kind of highlighting some of the updates I sent over earlier. We'll start with CTE. We're pumping in temp heat into that space. Once the weather breaks next week, we'll hope to be pouring concrete on the second floor and then first floor, then start laying out walls come early March and keep heading towards our substantial completion date of July 30th on that one. There were a couple of change events or changes that were proposed on this. All have been discussed with Michael, and if there's any questions, I can certainly answer them. But contingency-wise, still sitting really well for that project, considering we're out of the ground. One more minor connection to the existing building once we get the slabs put in, but really sitting good there schedule-wise and contingency on that one. Down to the fields, you'll see if you've walked out there, we got a lot of turf down. It's been great. They've been working as they can through the winter. So really hitting hard in softball now. And then just today they started delivering all the kind of the filler, the sand, the rubber that goes into the turf. So that's taken up a few parking stalls there on the east side of the parking lot. Thankfully, June was able to get us some space there, and we'll start moving that into the field as soon as we can, but it's exciting to see that kind of final piece of the turf come together. Other things down there at the field, you'll see the roofs on the concession stand. We got a lot of the roofs going on the dugouts. So really down there, we're waiting for the weather to break again. We can pour the slab inside the concession stand, start building that out. And then as soon as weather allows, we're going to be doing some grading and site concrete there too. So really still feel good about our substantial completion date there for the fields. It's just all going to depend on how March and April go, how quickly we can get doing that site concrete, get ready for bleachers in early April. Also, there are a couple of changes noted that I'd sent out. I did want to make one note that it was a change event 17, masonry winter conditions. That was approved at last board meeting, so that's scratched, and your contingency bumped that up to 148 versus 130. So still sitting well, and that's also absorbing that scoreboard install cost, which I think we'll be able to. We've had these discussions as a construction team. Still feel real good with that contingency and where we sit considering the stage of the project. So The other thing, I did include an update here for Central Elementary, just because there was one change on there to get approved, and then also we've got our warranty walk scheduled for March 10th for kind of, there was 3 separate substantial completion dates for those projects, middle school, Central, and then the cafeteria work. We're doing a 1 warranty walk. It does not change the warranty dates for those projects, but we're trying to get into the space before spring break, so if there's anything that we need to address, we have spring break to get the contractors in there. So that's kind of the plan of attack on that one. So that's all I got. Any questions?
At some point when it's not 0, I would like to walk out there, and especially out here, just to kind of get a feel for everything that's happening. So no rush on that one, but at some point it'd be good fun to walk out there.
Hopefully sooner than later, and we're out there working too.
Exactly.
Any other questions for Garrett?
And I guess, so Chris, we were talking earlier this week about total construction costs and everything. So Garrett's got us some documentation here so we can make sure we're all aligned with current costs, what's under contract, what's change orders, et cetera, and then make sure that everybody is crystal clear on all bond dollars, and then where the other pieces of the bond we're going to for Central, for West, et cetera. So
Garrett sent me some stuff this week too, so we are working back and forth on that. So
perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Garrett.
Mr. Klein, Superintendent.
So to piggyback off of that, with all of our growth, and was referenced a little bit in the audit earlier, our physical plant and equipment levy, our PEPL, is set to sunset at the end of fiscal year 26. So June 30th, 2026. That is a 10-year voter-approved amount, and currently we are levying $1.34. On March 4th, the community will have an opportunity to go out and say, we want to continue that $1.34 levy for support of the schools with a lot of the infrastructure things, buses, technology, security, safety updates. So the $1.34 is important to us. It allows us to keep moving forward as a district. And so encouraging everyone that March 4th is the date. Put it on your calendar, and voter-approved PEPL will be on the ballot. For people with questions about this, we are going to have an informational session here in the Collaboration Center at the high school on Monday, February 24th from 5:30 to 7. We'll have a very, very brief presentation at 5:30, be about 5-10 minutes, and then it'll just be time for people to come in and ask questions. I'll be sitting here twiddling my thumbs, waiting for people to stop by. Hunter and I were joking. The amount of hits on the video on Facebook about the calendar was astronomically higher than about the PEPL. People did not want to watch me talk about PEPL levy very much, but it is on Facebook, a little bit of information about what it is. Family teacher conferences are next week, so please remember to get signed up for that. And then best of luck to all of our winter activities as they start getting wrapping up. Congratulations to Elise Ingebretson on her state title there, and 6 wrestlers starting tomorrow night. And then I did find the list because, again, they weren't in the actual communication. But for speech, we had this group improv will be performing at Iowa State this Saturday. Members include Jonah Dell, Nathan Harrington, Will McConnell, Madalee Zavaki, and Michaela McGraw. And then non-performing, but also receiving recognition, is the musical theater group. I said drama earlier, not drama. Musical theater group of Arden Selmecki, Jordan Rasmussen, Maddie Pratt, Stephanie Haas, Sylvia Dreesen, Will McConnell, Nathan Harrington, and Brett Postel. So congratulations to our speech participants, and good luck with all of our postseason activities coming up.
Thank you, Mr. Klein.
You're welcome.
We'll move on to new business. First, in item number 1 in new business is approving fiscal year 24 audit report.
Motion to approve the fiscal year 25 audit or 24 audit report.
Second.
Motion by Ashley, second by Kyle. All in favor? Aye.
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 And it is fiscal year 24. We have 25 one spot in there, so we'll make sure that it's in there right as the agenda item. So fiscal year 24.
All right, item number 2 is approving 25-26 open enrollment cap numbers. Michael, can you run through this one before?
Yep. So what has been our practice over the past number of years is that we set a cap number per grade level. So instead of just saying open or closed, we really want to be able to leverage open enrollment where possible to help support us keeping class sizes at a reasonable amount. It is not always an option for us. With the low SSA or additional per student funding that we're getting, we have seen class sizes go up in certain areas, but the nice part as a growing district is, and you've heard us talk about this before, when we have our count in October, we don't get dollars for those students till the following September. So if a student were to move in end of October or beginning of November, it is almost that 2 years before we get funding, where for open enrollment, we get funding, we can bill immediately on the students that are coming from out of the district residency. And so we look at section numbers across the district, and then we look at, well, what is a class size that we would want to put a cap on, knowing that if we have students that move in that are resident students, obviously we're going to be happy to serve them, but to where we're not setting ourselves up to be at a pinch for space. These are numbers that allow us to be at that spot. And so projecting for next year's first grade, we would have 3 open positions. Second grade, we'd have about 7 positions. Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth and eighth, we would officially be closed at. 7th grade, we would have 5 spots, and then in the high school, we would have a fair amount of open positions. I talked with both Mr. Richards and Mr. Polberg about this today, just making sure that we feel good about our class sizes. And then our registrar, Lynette Foster, ran some reports for me too on average class sizes, just so that we feel good about where we're at class sizes, make sure that we can support the students that are currently here with us, but knowing that growth is on the horizon. How do we use open enrollment as a lever to kind of balance class sizes? So that was a lot of me talking just to say we've got openings for next year in 1st, 2nd, 7th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th with your approval.
Just a point of clarification, these are new open enrollments. The students that are currently open enrolled in the district are already in these counts.
Correct. Thank you for clarifying that.
And this is always an interesting subject for me because obviously with, currently I guess it would be a slow in housing new home construction in some respects, but still there's plenty of demand. But trying to temper, like you said, using open enrollees as a lever for us to be able to help continue to support and fund the growth that we do have. So it's, I guess, I appreciate the analytics and the work that you had done. And so when we look at these numbers, the numbers that what you're proposing is what's listed there, and then so like example, so first you say 147, 7 sections at 21, and then 144. So that's where we have the capacity.
The number to the right will be our rising number of students. So right now across the district, we have 144 kindergartners. So they'll be 1st graders next year.
Gotcha.
And so compare that to the 147, which would be 7 sections at 21 students per class. And it's not always a perfect science in that at West, we often have 5 sections, Big Creek 5 sections. At Central, we're going to be 3 sections across the board likely, other than going to be 3rd grade there. And we are constantly keeping an eye on this because a few more students moving in here and there will, push us over what we're looking at as capacity of classrooms to where likely we would need to hire another teacher. But as we've all looked at with our numbers that pull out on in the future, every additional teacher we hire has impact, long-standing impact on what is our solvency ratio.
Anybody else have any questions?
And the dates are back in with open enrollment. For a while there, the state took the dates away. People could open enroll in and out as they felt the need. The dates are back in. That we accept open enrollment paperwork February 1st, and then the deadline is March 1st. So people can still fill out open enrollment paperwork, but after March 1st, we won't accept for 1st through 12th grade students for next year. Kindergarten, the open enrollment date is through September 1st.
Motion to approve the open enrollment cap numbers for the 25-26 school year.
Second.
Motion by Ashley, second by Kyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 3, we have approve update to policy 605.03R1, objection to instructional materials, reconsideration to instructional and library materials regulation. Mr. Klein, correct me if I'm wrong. This is a change that's coming from a change to state law, which removes student participation in these committees.
Correct. Our language said may include students on review committee, and the state has said no, don't do that. So we are removing the may include students.
So that is the only change, just to comply with state law.
Yes.
Motion to approve the update to policy 605.03R1.
Second.
Motion by Kyle, second by Iker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 4 is approving vendor to refinish the high school gym floor.
So we got multiple bids on this, and we are requesting BB Sports Flooring for the sanding, repainting, and finishing of the high school gymnasium floor.
I just have a couple questions on here.
Mm-hmm.
Do we pay them when the work is completed, or do we do a deposit? I just don't want this to be another Big Creek, which I don't think it's going to be, but I'm just curious.
Yep, there's a material deposit of $19,419 for them to start ordering equipment for the project, and then afterwards is paying for the rest of it at the very end of the project. And we Matt Eichhorn, our activities director, did quite a bit of communicating with different people about who they recommended. BB Flooring did West Des Moines Valley's floor. I mean, really highly spoken of, and then Van Meter had them come as well. So, and the other thing, when we were looking at when to get this done, they didn't have a whole lot of openings for the summer when they were able to do the work. So, I think they're fairly sought after and highly thought of in the business.
So it's my understanding we're going to change it up a little bit. Is there a rendering of what it's going to look like?
I have not seen a rendering. What is in the quote is to have stain inside the lane area. I believe we are doing a bigger North Polk logo and some script comments on the side. And then we are hoping to maybe find a business that would want to have some naming rights to the court too, to be able to put a business logo on that's willing to financially partner with us. So that's what I know. I haven't seen a picture.
Yeah, I just know Matt was going to get a bunch of mock-ups for that. One idea was maybe add a little bit more red to the court, kind of brighten it up a little bit. So yeah, I'm guessing there's going to be a bunch of options.
Nice. Okay, thank you.
I know this is more money, but I am genuinely curious. Would this, excuse me, would this be an option? It says that we're paying for some stencils and some other items up front. Is that something that we can keep over time and reuse if we have to redo like a middle school floor? Or is that like a one-time use stencil? I know zero things about refinishing a floor.
Well, I've never painted a floor before. If it's a stencil, I would assume that it's reusable. And I don't know that this is going to be good for anyone else since we have a trademark on the logo. So that's a good idea. We can certainly ask about that if it's something to be reused over time.
Motion to approve BB Sports floors to refinish the high school gym yeah, per the quote.
Second.
Motion by Keith, second by Ashley. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Last one under new business is approve Polk County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
So this is something that the Polk County Emergency Management went through, and their recommendation is to approve it, as they said that there are some grant funding that comes along with the hazard mitigation plan. I sat in, I think, on 2 or 3 webinars that they had through the conversation of what is currently in place, what are other things that we can do to mitigate certain hazards in and throughout the county.
Motion to approve the Polk County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Second.
Motion by Kyle, second by Iker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Which moves us to public comments by individual board members. I think we'll just start on the opposite end. Kyle, do you have anything?
Thank you. Got a couple things. I just want to take a moment and thank Seth and Whitney and Amanda and Miranda and, of course, Matt. Your time, your insight, and your leadership at the HRS Summit was fantastic. It's cool to see you kind of more in your world and taking things from the keynotes. And then myself, and I know I speak a little bit for Matt, he may comment on it as well, but being able to take some of those things into my profession and then into my personal life was pretty cool. So learned a lot there, a lot about the school, a lot about our individuals that lead our group, a lot about the Alamo from Mr. Seth. So if you guys have any questions about the Alamo, I do challenge you to talk to Mr. Seth. See if you can stump him. My next thing is I'm sure Ashley would probably also get on this. Unfortunately, Mother Nature threw a twist for our Comet Sensations show for the jazz and choir competition. So that's a big thing for us and for the Fine Arts Booster. So I would really challenge our district to try to go on and make a donation because that goes to a lot of the programs in there. So I know that I will be going on and buying a ticket. They're $15. That goes straight towards the donation. So I challenge everybody, my peers on the board, and then everybody else in this district to help support that. So, but thank you very much for everything.
I just have 2. Number one, a shout out to Mr. Klein. I don't know how many people know this, but we live in the same neighborhood, and I regularly see him driving out of his driveway at 5 o'clock in the morning to drive the roads to make sure that it's safe for kids to get to school. And I know our administrators are often there on early mornings to make sure that kids are let into buildings. So I know that oftentimes sketchy weather is hard on families, but it's really hard on teachers and administrators. So thank you to all of you for the extra time and effort. And I know that Marcy has her fair share of things that she deals with on bad weather days. My second thing was related to Comet Sensation and just booster clubs in general. If you look at the donations that we get every month in our budget, our athletic and Fine Arts boosters are listed over and over and over again, and those funds come right back to our school. In addition to the Comet Sensation purchasing of tickets, if you haven't already looked at Celebrate North Polk, those tables and tickets are also for sale, and that goes back to our schools as well.
May 31st. Put it on your calendar.
Thank you, Ashley. Mr. Borman.
Okay, I wanted to just, for just a little bit of clarity, I know there's been a lot of discussion related to SSA or the supplemental aid for school districts, and it's, whether it's coming from, the local news sources, from the governor's office, and just, we've been talking about what that means for us as a district, and the proposal that initially came out was a 2% increase in SSA. And 2%, well, how does that even correlate to us? And so I wanted to at least just give a little bit of context for anybody in our district. And so when we look at what that 2% is, that's an increase on a per student basis of 2% from what the value of $7,826 per student. So if you look at that 2% increase, that's an increase in our fiscal 26 budget of $335-ish thousand. Now those dollars go to support all things general fund related. And so if you think about the 335,000, that does seem like a lot of money. But if you bump it up to 3.5%, where we've been in the past potentially, or even, I didn't do the math on what 4 or 5 could mean because that doesn't seem to be in realm of possibility right now. But at a 3.5%, that's $587,000 to the district. Okay, yes, that seems like a lot of money, but I wanted to at least highlight when we look at some of our expenses. So health insurance as an example. Health insurance will go up, I think our number is 11.3%. So 11.3% already now consumes of that, let's say 2% is the number, so $335,000. Just that health insurance increase is $223,000. So out of that new money, or out of that increase, we're only covering, we've covered now our health insurance costs. And then when you look at the additional funds for FICA, for IPERS on increased salaries, depending on how, as we look into 26 as well, that could be another $150,000, $170,000. So we've already consumed all those dollars just to cover some of the basics. Now you look at other costs that we have, whether you're talking electricity or utilities, or you're talking services, so snow removal, anything that we are buying today. If you look at, again, just generalized inflation, property insurance, there was another $60,000 increase that's projected for our property insurance for the next fiscal. So I wanted to give a little bit of context for people across the district that are trying to understand, well, what does 2% mean? What does 2.5%? It's a big deal. To jump from 2 to what maybe, again, you think back in history, a 3.5% would mean, that's a lot of dollars that we then have to cover the costs of operating and running a district. And so if anybody ever has any questions, any of us are willing 100% to have a conversation, to answer any questions. We can do the math all day long, and just so you know, we as a district are looking at all kinds of scenarios to make sure that we are, because every new teacher that we would potentially hire, and again, that's all tied to growth, and that's one key thing for everyone to recognize. We are a growing district, meaning we have new students and new dollars that are coming to us as a district. There are so many districts in the state of Iowa that are nowhere near the situation that we are in. So we are very lucky that we are growing. Without that growth, we would be in a considerably different financial situation. So my ask is that pay attention to what is being discussed at the State House. Talk to your legislators, talk to your representatives, because this is meaningful, and we are doing our very best to establish a budget to try to make the best fiscal decisions that we possibly can. But again, if you have any questions, I'd love to have a conversation about it, but just wanted to give a little bit of context on what these numbers represent. So with that, that's all I have.
Well said, Keith. Thank you.
Now I know what it's like to sit up here as vice president when 3 people get to talk in front of me. So,
Yep.
No, that was all well said. And one of the cool things about our board is the cohesiveness and how we are all on the same page about almost everything. Kyle kind of touched base with it. Going down to San Antonio with Amanda, Whitney, Seth, and Miranda was some of the most rewarding and times that I've had on the school board. Just being able to kind of see what they do day to day. Their job does not stop when we're at a conference. They're up 6 a.m. handling issues with substitutes and putting out fires down in 4 or 5 states away. And so that's just seeing what they do on a daily basis and then attending a conference and continuing to work through lunch because they still have things they have to do back here is just such an incredible it's just an incredible experience to see what they did, and then being able to spend time with them outside of the conference and kind of learn what they do on the day-to-day basis and learn more about them personally was so much fun, and we learned so much. And the morning sessions were a lot about leadership, and again, what Kyle said is we can both bring that back to the board table, and then the afternoon was really focused on kind of in the weeds things, but it was so good to be able to go there and support our administrators. And and learn about some of that stuff. But one of the cool things is I don't, out of everybody that I networked with in San Antonio, I just got a lot of wide eyes about our district sending board members down to a conference like that. So many of them are like, I wish our district would send board members down so they could see what we're doing. It seems like we focus so much, and rightfully so, because of us a growing district, we focus on finance, we focus on construction. But sometimes I think overlooked is the importance of the curriculum and the education side of it. And I know we all think that's important, but being able to go down there and actually see it, it was such a great experience. So thanks everybody for sending us down there, and look forward to sending other board members down there, in the coming years. So that's all I really have. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I will keep mine fairly brief because you guys covered a lot of stuff. But my comments will kind of follow what Keith had to say. I don't think we say it directly very often, but there is a shared vision goal that all board members and everyone in this room share, and it's that North Polk is like hands down the best school in the state, public or private. That's the goal. And I think by many metrics that you could look at, whether it's academics, arts, athletics, we probably are in that conversation for being the best school in the state. Truly believe that. When we talk about what we would like our state leaders to do in terms of funding, I think it's really important to mention that this state has always been a leader in education. And what we've been witnessing over whatever amount of time is a potential decrease in what we're seeing in total output from the state. And there are solutions to that. There's a million different things we could look at for ways that you could improve schools. But just to simplify it, in my eyes, it's you have to attract talented people. You have to have people that want to come to your school. Culture is a huge part of that. But then, in all honesty, so is pay. And having the ability to pay people what they should be paid for the role. And the other one is having manageable class sizes for the demands, the needs of that particular student population. You can't do those two things without funding, without keeping up with inflation. I've been looking back. I think we talk regularly that this is the 5th year in a row that we're going to be under the rate of inflation, but you can go back further than that. It was still happening in 19, it was happening in 18, it was happening in 17. This is a compounded problem, and as Keith mentioned, we are in really decent fiscal shape compared to most. But talking to some of those leaders, the House seems to understand that it is an issue, that the only funding we are set to get with where the Senate has us right now will only cover health insurance increases and property insurance increases. But the reality is, when we say we need 3.5% or 4.5%, the politics of the day, we're not going to get there. The House is sitting at 2.25 plus a 0.6 one-time increase. We can make that work. It's going to be very difficult for all districts if it's 2%. So I would encourage people to reach out to their specific Senate members that represent this district, Mike Busolo and Jack Whitver, and just explain to them, just get up to the House level of where they're currently at. And that's what I have for comments today. Thank you.
Well said. Motion to adjourn.
Second.